Welcome to the Grand Theft World podcast, brought to you by the members of GrandTheftWorld.com. We got a lot of news to unpack in the next 6 or 7 hours. This week in Grand Theft World News, we're going to cover stories like this.
This story that we have breaking: evidence of government conspiracy with big tech to manipulate news, manufacture consent, and yes, even subvert elections. It is now definitive, reported by The Intercept, one of the biggest stories of our lives, potentially the biggest story of our lives, and one of the biggest stories in the history of the United States. The Department of Homeland Security is quietly broadening its efforts to curb speech it considers dangerous. An investigation by The Intercept has found years of internal DHS memos, emails, and documents obtained via leaks and an ongoing lawsuit, as well as public documents, illustrate an expansive effort by the agency to influence tech platforms. This is not just about leaked documents. This is Missouri Attorney General Eric Schmidt, who launched a lawsuit and got much of this released. Take a look at this. The work, much of which remains unknown to the American public, came into clearer view earlier this year when DHS announced a new disinformation governance board, a panel designed to police misinformation. Misinformation and disinformation. Now, they define this. Misinformation is false information spread unintentionally, whereas disinformation is intentionally spread. And malinformation, which is factual information shared typically out of context with harmful intent, that allegedly threatens U.S. interests. While the board was widely ridiculed, immediately scaled back, and then shut down within a few months, other initiatives are underway at DHS as DHS pivots to monitoring social media now that its original mandate, the war on terror, has been wound down. All of this predicted by many anti-establishment individuals, Republicans only truly coming to understand the scale of this recently. Behind closed doors and through pressure on private platforms, the U.S. government has used its power to try and shape online discourse, according to meeting minutes and other records appended to a lawsuit filed by Missouri Attorney General Eric Schmidt, a Republican who is also running for Senate. Discussions have ranged from the scale and scope of government intervention in online discourse to the mechanics of streamlining takedown requests for false or intentionally misleading information. We did know a lot about this, but this is hard evidence coming out, directly implicating a ton of people. Take a look at this. DHS Cybersecurity Disinformation Meeting Minutes. Cybersecurity, this is CISA, Cybersecurity Advisory Committee, protecting critical infrastructure from misinformation and disinformation. Who we are. CISA has a burgeoning MDM effort that focuses on building national resilience through public awareness. CISA engages with subject matter experts, researchers, think tanks, and public relations experts to understand the threat of MDM, misinformation, disinformation, malinformation, develop strategies to message to the public and amplify trusted voices. All of this is in direct violation of the Constitution, hands down.
Elon said, let that sink in, or let this sink in. It's debated, the sync picture, but Elon took over Twitter and things are changing. Will they change as much as everyone optimistically hopes?
So you mostly just get rid of Twitter?
I knew that was invalid.
It is a much more severe violation, given what we're seeing on the ground. We are going to actually be more aggressive in our enforcement beyond de-amplification.
Let's say if it was a pro-Trump thing and I am anti-Trump, I was like, oh, I banned this whole account, it'll go to you. And then it's at your discretion. And if you're anti-Trump, you're like, oh, you know what, Mo was right, let it go.
One strategy is to shadow ban so that you have ultimate control. The idea of a shadow ban is that you ban someone, but they don't know they've been banned.
Oh, it might be the U.S. government pressure.
What? Why?
Because they don't like people messing with their politics.
Well, right now we don't make profit, so it's going to say ideology, which is what's led us to not being profitable.
Twitter does not believe in free speech. People are believing in free speech. Some of my colleagues are like super left capitalists. So we weren't really operating like capitalists more. We were very socialist. Like we're all like communist.
I'm an engineer in the messaging thing. Maybe I could hack into her. Like, I don't know. Your sex messages and your like dick pics are on my server now. All your illegitimate wives and like all the girls you've been f***ing around with, they're on my server now. God. I'm gonna send it to your wife. And she's gonna use it in your divorce.
You know, we are focused on one account right now, but this is going to be much bigger than just one account. account, and it's going to go on for much longer than just this day. I don't believe this is going away anytime soon.
What department do you
I'm in trust and safety. I do all the policy work for safety policy. I'm in the controversial team.
I've tried to block people like Cernovich and stuff like that, and mute and stuff like that, but they still show up all the time.
That's something we're working on.
I mean, I don't know what to do.
We're working on. We're trying to get the shitty people not to show up. It's a product thing we're working on.
Targeting of tapes.
Wait.
You can read it.
Let me see. How to protect yourself. Groups like Project Veritas are active right now.
Like some group that's trying to just out the employees. Like they're trying to go on dates with them like this and record them and then go sell it to the New York Times and say this is what the Twitter employee just said. You're lucky that you met me organically because I would be questioning everything about you.
Or maybe a little bit less. Maybe there's going to be a council of deciders to see if your speech can be free. Maybe there's not going to be a uniform freedom of speech platform. Maybe there aren't going to be degrees and limits, even under Elon's guidance. We're going to learn more about that story.
Hey, at Elon Musk, I thought Twitter was supposed to improve with you as chief twit, not get worse. Why is this showing up suddenly? Wow, so David Icke's not allowed to have a page, and now the Free Thought Project may be linked to a harmful website. Has anybody checked all the other websites out there? BitChute still harmful? Wait, he freed the bird. He freed the bird. Oh. Then this Alan McLeod did a great piece on Elon Musk not being a renegade, but he talks about Michael Griffin, all right, and how basically he mentored Musk via the CIA and NASA, and NASA is a front for the military-industrial complex. We're not going to the moon and Mars with Elon. Ooh, it's not about protecting us from the evil asteroids that are all in the media that are going to destroy humanity. I mean, every Chicken Little scenario for control, they throw at you. All right? So Muskernuts is failing on a lot of this stuff. And SpaceX, right, just last week, while all this Twitter fiasco thing was going on, surpassed Boeing as the #1 military-industrial complex contractor for NASA, which has a huge budget. Let me say that again. Huge budget.
What is he really promoting, and why does he seem to be on board with all of these globalist agendas? Maybe we should start looking into the character and background of this person. And as Solutions Watch viewers will know by now, of course, you can do so by going to a number of different sites. Well, for example, as we talked about on Solutions Watch recently, you could go to Wikipedia and you could find all of the boring sort of biography 101 sort of stuff that you'd find in any rundown of Elon Musk. He's a business magnate and investor. He's the founder, CEO, and chief engineer of SpaceX, an angel investor and proud product architect of Tesla Inc., founder of the Boring Company, blah, blah, blah. Born and grew up in Pretoria, South Africa, immigrated to Canada, went to Queen's University and then University of Pennsylvania, Stanford University, attended for 2 days, founded Zip2, da-da-da-da-da. Okay, boilerplate biography, but as we talked about in Solutions Watch, obviously this is just for skimming the surface of the mainstream of the mainstream. This is what you are allowed to know about the Elon Musk character, and there are many, many references that you could point to and that you could click on if you are so inclined, but we could go deeper than that, right? Of course. It's the Corbett Report. We will go deeper. So let's go to Wikispooks, which of course does have an Elon Musk page with some interesting additional details that you probably won't find there at Wikipedia, that is. Elon Reeve Musk is a billionaire U.S. businessman. Musk is mostly known for his two biggest companies, Tesla and SpaceX. He accumulated most of his wealth through government subsidies. Ding, ding, ding. Musk is a member of a very influential group of friends of the Stanford University or University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign named the PayPal Mafia, as he was involved in the early start of PayPal. SpaceX was founded with the help of Mike Griffin, who worked for CIA's venture capital arm and was later appointed as NASA administrator by George W. Bush. Bloomberg reported that he became a young global leader of the World Economic Forum in 2008. And there's a link, a citation. You need to find out more about it? Well, there it is, and it's even way backed for you, so you don't even have to give Bloomberg any of your traffic. You just click on the link, and you've got the Wayback Archive of the aforesaid Bloomberg article, which will tell you all about Elon Musk becoming a young global leader back in 2008.
You will eat the bugs and be happy.
And he's going to save free speech by taking this controlled platform. And one of the things that he has specifically has been floated, at any rate, as a potential for where he's going with this, Twitter's all bots, is that, well, what we need is real identity. We need to identify you and have you registered or whatever the plan will be in order to make sure it's not bots on Twitter. Yay! Wait, is this the ID for the internet that's coming in through the back door? Who knows? We'll see.
Next story up, Ben Shapiro, who was a big proponent of mandatory vaccinations, is doing some backpedaling. All of a sudden, he found out they lied. And he's quite upset about it. But I don't know if I believe his indignation, because I think someone like Shapiro shoulda, woulda, coulda known better in this situation and not just trusted the Fauci authorities.
That you need a vax mandate in the workplace. He's still suing to get OSHA to force employees to get vaccinated. On what basis? On what basis? On the basis that the vaccines are supposed to stop transmission. But we now know that we were lied to by everyone. We were lied to by the scientists. We were lied to by Pfizer. We were lied to by the government. We were lied to by the Biden administration. We were lied to.
Hey, what's going on, folks? So Ben Shapiro, who once told people to get the vaccine, dopes, is admitting he got lied to and switching his stance.
It is now perfectly clear that we were lied to. That we were lied to, and we were lied to at a very high level from very, very early on by both the vaccine companies in terms of the ability of the vaccine to prevent transmission, and we were also lied to by our politicians who apparently knew better. And they just kept lying.
And coupling with those realizations that he was lied to by the big bad authorities, Robert F. Kennedy released his documentary, The Real Dr. Fauci. It's 4 hours and not a moment wasted. There's many different topics covered. It doesn't just deal with COVID. It goes all the way back into the 1980s and up through the early 2000s with the bioweapons research after the anthrax attacks. So it's a really well-documented, pun intended, treatment of Bobby Kennedy Jr.'s book, The Real Dr. Fauci.
This book is a product of my own struggle to understand how the idealistic institutions our country built to safeguard both public health and democracy suddenly turned against our citizens and our values with such violence. I am a lifelong Democrat whose family has had 80 years of deep engagement with America's public health bureaucracy and long friendships with key federal regulators, including Anthony Fauci, Francis Collins, and Robert Gallo. Members of my family wrote many of the statutes under which these men govern. They nurtured the growth of equitable and effective public health policies and defended that regulatory bulwark against ferocious attacks funded by industry. I built my own alliances with these individuals and their agencies during my years of environmental and public health advocacy. I watched these figures, often with admiration.
Quiet on set. Camera speed.
But I also watched how the industry, supposedly being regulated, used its indentured servants on Capitol Hill and its financial clout to systematically hollow out those agencies beginning in the 1980s, disabling their regulatory function and transforming them into sock puppets for the very industry Congress charged them with regulating. I explore the carefully planned militarization and monetization of medicine that has left American health ailing and its democracy shattered. I chronicle the troubling role of the dangerously concentrated mainstream media.
You're really attacking not only Dr. Anthony Fauci, you're attacking science.
Big tech robber barons, the military and intelligence communities, and their deep historical alliance with Big Pharma and the public health agencies. The disturbing story that unfolds here has never been told, and many in power have worked hard to prevent the public from learning it. The principal character is Anthony Fauci.
We're going going to take a look at a serious chunk of that movie tonight in the intermission. But before we can get to that, we have to celebrate the fact that after doing 4 hours of interviews here on Grand Theft World, Whitney Webb made it to the Patrick Bet David podcast this past week, and a platform that legitimately gets millions of views. So the Epstein saga, the super mob that she's describing in her books, is now reaching a wider audience. And I think it's good to celebrate any of our colleagues having a piece of this message getting out there to a wider audience. It's a very important time in history.
What's the importance of
more
this
more
part of the
broadly?
story?
I would say
Correct.
this is the beginning of several other examples in Epstein's career where it seems like he has a meteoric rise that would otherwise have been unavailable to him if it weren't for some sort of connections that he possessed. You know, he's stepping into some sort of support network that protects him, not just through his financial criminality, but his sex criminality. Because remember, he was doing this for a long time, including the sex crimes, and nothing happened to him. I mean, you have someone like in January 2020, you have Cindy McCain, John McCain's wife, coming out and say, we all knew what Epstein was doing. I mean, and there's no direct John McCain-Epstein connection that I've seen. So this means, in the U.S. Senate, it's known what he's doing and nothing happens to him. You don't operate like that and abuse thousands of girls and get away with all of this stuff if you don't have someone behind you.
Winding it up, there's a story recently today, tragically, Paul Pelosi was attacked by a man in his house with a hammer. There's a lot of questions. What kind of hammer? What was the guy doing in your house? There's a whole lot of questions about that story. We'll break into it tonight.
Nancy Pelosi's husband Paul was attacked by a lunatic with a hammer on Friday night in his San Francisco home. The suspect was later named as 42-year-old David DePape. Now, obviously, political violence is deplorable, and we wish Paul Pelosi a speedy recovery. Why did Pelosi tell police that the attacker was his, quote, friend called David, but that he also didn't know him? Here's the 911 dispatch tape.
14-hour copy. RP stated that there's a male in the home and that he's going to wait for his wife. RP stated that he doesn't know who the male is, but he advised that his name is David and that he is a friend. RP sounded somewhat confused. Is a friend.
Why was DePape dressed only in his underwear when police arrived?
There is reporting, Martha, that the suspect was arrested in his underwear.
I mean, if you're planning a political assassination, are you really going to show up in your underwear to carry it out? Why did the culprit only start attacking Pelosi after the police arrived?
When the officers arrived on scene, they encountered an adult male and Mr. Pelosi's husband, Paul. Our officers observed Mr. Pelosi and the suspect both holding a hammer. The suspect pulled the hammer away from Mr. Pelosi and violently assaulted him with it.
Why did the culprit allow Pelosi to go to the bathroom from where he called the police? What kind of home invasions involve bathroom breaks? Politico reported that officers knocked on the door and were let in by an unknown third person. Who was this person? And were they trying to stop the attack or not? The culprit just happened to be the perfect e-fit for Mr. Crazy Right-Wing Conspiracy Theorist 101.
Authorities have found a manifesto, as they put it, on social media involving conspiracy theories, including anti-government COVID beliefs.
So the media could bolster their somewhat flagging narrative that these people are everywhere, lurking around every corner. But scratch a little below the surface, and everything isn't as it seems.
And then last but not least, Connor Boyack is going to be our guest, author of the Tuttle Twins series of books and a whole lot more. We're going to learn about entrepreneurism. We're going to learn about family. We're going to learn about ethics and things that people need to learn that aren't being taught or reinforced by our society. And that presents opportunities to entrepreneurs like Connor. So it's a really fascinating conversation that we're going to have on that topic. So before we can get to all that, let's kick it off with this week's report from Luke Rudowski at wearechange.org and thebestpoliticalshirts.com.
We have some absolutely crazy news to get into today, especially when it comes to international relations, central bank digital currencies, and the plans for future enslavement of free humanity. Lots of major bombshells, especially when it comes to leaked new Department of Homeland Security documents that will blow your mind away, that of course we're going to be talking about in this broadcast, as well as giving you an important update to what is happening with Elon Musk and Twitter. All the latest updates I'm wearing, you could get it on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. And the clip that we played in the beginning of this broadcast is by the extremely talented Dra Fanzer Memes. He is at Drafanzer on Twitter. We, of course, will be linking his account down in the description below. If we have found his YouTube channel, we will be promoting that extensively because this is absolutely hilarious, extensive, beautifully done meme magic that definitely deserves your support.
What makes Autonomy uniquely empowering? Autonomy is a self-help course unlike any other. Over the course of our 12-week program, you'll experience weekly live lectures from Richard Grove, specifically designed to equip you with the skills you need to set yourself free. Free from the learned helplessness taught in our schools, free from the dependence on a corrupt system that serves only to uphold the rich, free from the structure of your 9-to-5 if that's your prerogative. Plus, you'll enter into a community of like-minded individuals who are pursuing the same freedom you are, and who'll support you and learn alongside you every step of the way. A lifetime of community and the tools to live however you want. We can't wait to meet you. Learn more at getautonomy.info.